Hey everyone, thank you for coming. I'm Allie. I'm a Fulbright educator and online English teacher. One thing that I hear all the time from my parents is, hey, can my child actually learn English from watching YouTube, cartoons, and movies? And a lot of parents hope that the screen time is helping, but they also wonder if hey, is my child actually just watching this for fun? And that's a valid question, right? So, today I want to address this and talk about what actually helps, what doesn't, and how parents can turn screen time into something more valuable. So, yes, it does help watching this, right? Your child is taking in all of the language, the phrases that they're saying, but it doesn't automatically help, right? So, in short, the answer is yes. Movies, TV, YouTube, cartoons, these things are all tools to learn English, but watching alone doesn't usually create these speaking skills automatically, right? This may improve their listening skills, their vocabulary, pronunciation, and understanding. But if you're hoping for your child to improve their speaking skills, they need to actually speak, right? So, speaking is very different because you actually have to speak in order to um, use the language actively to speak, right? So, this is something that I like to talk about with my kids all the time. So, my kids and adults, they always tell me what their recommendations are for movies or TV. So, one of my students, I would say in general, their favorites are Zootopia, Bad Guys. I had a student recently, she recommended Turning Red on Disney Plus. And they've all been watching these in English, which is phenomenal. So these are great ways to watch the movies. And then in our classes, we discuss them. They tell me what they liked, what they didn't like, the character development throughout Turning Red or Zootopia. They tell me their favorite parts. So one of the classic parts of Zootopia is with Flash Flash 100-yard dash, right? Most of my students know this part and they love it. Or at the end when he's in the car, they get a kick out of it and it's really awesome. So we can take these tools that kids are using and practicing English outside of class, which is awesome. We can take this and they can be aids, right? We can discuss them in class. I can support them. I scaffold them. I give them all of the necessary sentence structure to help them learn. So remember, anything that your child is interested in, it can kind of be turned into a lesson, which is really great. So we like to focus a lot on student interest because that's where the learning really happens. All right, so repetition also matters, right? So another reason that this type of media can help is repetition, right? Kids hear phrases like, come on, let's go, I don't know, over and over and over again, right? So these common everyday phrases. So eventually these phrases begin sounding natural, and the children often start repeating them without even realizing it. And I know this has happened to me when I've been watching TV or movies in Spanish, and I started picking up these different phrases. And depending on which region or which country they're from, I learned different phrases that mean the same thing, right? And again, a lot of my focus as a teacher is interest based learning. So, interest creates learning, right? So, I've had students who were so shy, they barely wanted to answer any questions. And then I talk about things that I love and that they love too. So, we talk about sharks, soccer, the World Cup, Minecraft, the Olympics, Percy Jackson, or, safari animals. And suddenly they will not stop talking. They have so much to say. So kids pay attention to the things that they care about, and this creates curious children. So this attention can help the learning happen. So it's really important that we focus on interest-based learning. And some common mistakes here are parents sometimes expect speaking skills to improve simply from watching YouTube, from watching TV, etc. But again, this isn't the case. So, remember, you have to be speaking in order to practice your speaking skills and improve them. And another mistake is choosing content that is too difficult or way above their language level. So, that is something that I see a lot, and I try to guide my students and my students' parents to more appropriate media for them. And again, another thing is passive watching, like all day long, is not enough. They need opportunities to discuss what they watch. They need to be able to ask questions, answer questions, and really work on those critical thinking skills. Again, these are just a few common mistakes, but they can all be remedied, right? So, a question for you as parents is after a show, you could ask, what was your favorite part? Which character would you be? Who was the funniest? What would you do differently? So, these simple questions really help your student and your child go from watching it passively into active language practice. Again, they're practicing the speaking skill, which is perfect. So, in short, movies, YouTube, TV, cartoons, they absolutely help children learn English. But the biggest progress often happens when the children are discussing, they're responding, and they're using language in ways that are meaningful to them. So, I'd love to know, what does your child love watching right now? Thank you.